Kristian Stott, you're the ex-CEO of Andrew Grant, 15-branch estate agency network from the West Midlands. Do you believe that a estate agency is bloated in its approach? Talk to me.
Okay. Agency is quite a full industry. Transactions are full journeys. There's a lot that happens. It's not like walking into your local garage and picking up some gum. You know, it's a challenging, complex space in that sense, and it's a space that's come from a traditional underpinning. It's not a new industry by any sense, and let's call that paper, for the want of a better description. The way in which agency businesses were bloated with paper in the past hasn't been phased out quickly enough. Not all of that is estate agents' faults. The ecosystem that surrounds estate agency in terms of conveyancing, marketing, all those different things, haven't necessarily provided platforms for agents to spring from with a digital first journey. As I said to you before, Chris, digital begins at home. Estate agency businesses need to look at their processes and why they do the things they do. When they get a piece of data, in my opinion, you should only ever touch it once. So an email address, a telephone number, a name, once. Any more than that, you've paid twice. Also, the customer felt it. Filling in forms, property information questionnaires, you name it, listing forms, brochure approval processes, photography approval processes, all those different things. The processes that surround those inside the businesses are heavy. People push stuff around. They go in and out of different applications. They create documents and save them somewhere else. They audit. They constantly audit, whether you're ISO or not. Most people have some form of quality process that says, how do we check that we did it right every time? So when you're auditing, how do you audit? Why do you need to audit? Why can't you guarantee you got it right first time around? What are your ISO or whatever processes that said that you might need to check down the line? When we hand over, now obviously not every agency business is structured in the same way. Some work with valuers, negotiators, managers to sales progressors with a contact centre, an administration and marketing team. Some of them, the agent does almost everything that they do. But as the stock or the properties go on their journey through the business to come out the other side, hopefully as a check hitting the bank, a lot goes on. As we pass information backwards and forwards to conveyancing firms, financial services, insurance, removals, we're sending instructions to people to put a board up, take a board down, to put an advert here, take it away, creating a social post, all the different things that we do along that journey. I personally feel that the industry is bloated. We steal people's time because we haven't necessarily analysed the processes in our business to make sure that everybody's time is used as efficiently as it possibly can be. It's not an easy thing to fix because it comes from the top, the bottom and the middle at exactly the same time. The business has to work together. People often don't go to their boss and say, do you know what, I've cut and pasted that 5 times today, I've typed that 3 times, I've pressed save and I've done that 2 times. Should we talk about that? Because it's not the conversation people have with their boss. More importantly, the boss seldom gets everyone around with a coffee and says, right, give me the top 10 things that you feel we shouldn't have to do every day. Just write them down the list and we'll talk about them 1 to 10. We'll go through that. They don't do it. They talk about the figures.
It almost seems that the bosses are solely focused on the figures and they don't care how they get there.
Potentially. You don't want to cast an aspersion about the industry in that sense, but the truth is, it's easier to do that because the figures are so much easier to look at.
Of course they are. They're tangible.
Yeah, they're easy to understand.
But it's a bit like putting someone who learns how to fly an aircraft in an aircraft, and great if they turn up at the other airport, but when really you should be putting them through a flight simulator, shouldn't you?
100%. And more importantly, before they get into that flight simulator, there should be a list. This is how you turn the airplane on. This is how you turn it on. And the truth is, the aviation, which is a good example, there is a list for everything.
So do you think that we as estate agents just kind of say, oh, you're a neg, there's lots of firms that are very guilty of, I need a neg, just fill the gap, we don't actually systemize the business and actually delineate what they should be doing. I mean, John Paul will be chuffed to bits of this because he's the king of systems.
Yes, and there's a lot of answers there because customer experience has to be the first thing you think about every day. How did it feel for them? Because they're the ones that are going to tell their friends and get you a new customer. They're the ones that are going to phone you and say thank you. They're not going to argue over their bill. They're going to help you sell their house rather than fight you through that process. Because they're going to get involved, because they're going to enjoy it, they're going to love it. And I think that question, and if the answer is no, we can't change it, brilliant, amazing, wonderful. You don't hear that answer that often though. You can always refine those processes. And I think agency businesses probably look to themselves, not to their customers, before they change things.
It's almost, we allow a state agency to serve us and not the customer.
Potentially, yeah. And I think that perspective is dangerous, because the problem you've got is when you get rapid disruptors in any space, they kick your knees away. Because
it's happened in other industries, and do you think a lot of estate agents saw Purple Bricks come along, they didn't fail, but they certainly didn't take over the world, now think they're safe?
I think any agent who says they learned nothing from Purple Bricks' arrival in our market needs to check their answer there. I think Purple Bricks brought a wind of change across the whole industry. And they showed people that whether you focus technology first, whether you focus on transparent fees, low fees, high volumes, all those different things, that a market that no one thought would change was disrupted very quickly by one player. Pretty much across the whole market.
So that's not to say that it can't happen again if Purple
and
Bricks
again,
Mark
and
II
again,
come along.
and again. And so it should, because why should the consumer be told what they're doing and held to ransom by an industry that won't change to suit them? The consumers change all the time.
So a state agency needs to be less bloated, leaner, fitter, listen to the customer, remember that the customer works for us, we work for the customer, not the other way around, and we'll win.
And that change is the only constant. The customer today is not the customer tomorrow. And, we've got to be ready.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.